products that perhaps contain certain substances and they cause irritation to your skin. Sometimes it is worse because they may be having heavy metals. And the moment they have contact with your skin, then you find that you absorb it. The skin being one of the largest organs of the body, so you find that you absorb a lot of those substances. And then the durability of the products. You talked about it. We don't want to mention countries that sometimes they have various levels of quality things. Some that you can't use even for a day, some that you can use for a long time. Then there are measurements that go into it. There are aspects, when you are producing goods, there are also aspects of the environmental, social, and governance issues. When you said safety of the workers, for example, that comes in. Do your products result in injuries to the workers? Do your products result in polluting the environment? Do your products result, or are you sourcing products in a way that is creating criminal activities or causing instabilities in societies? So all these things come in with the issue of the standards. Of course, the latest we have is the corporate sustainability due diligence, meaning that when you are producing, are you ensuring that you are paying people well? You are not making them work as slaves, or you are not using them. You know, there are those areas where you find people have come into the country, they don't have documents, and therefore you threaten them that if you don't work, you can be exposed. So a lot of these issues that sometimes don't appear to us very much like some you would encounter, or sometimes you think is unimaginable. You can recall the fire that caused, I don't know how many deaths in Bangladesh, simply because the workers were locked into the factory. No escape. You know, there's a way people think that if you are free to go in and out, you'll do what? You will not work. So you are locked. So if you're going there, even toilet break, you'll go after 6 hours. It's up to you to manage whatever. So that's what those aspects talk about. So the standards will explain how the conditions of working should be. Yes. So for SMEs, and we recognize that most of the firms that operate not just in Africa, but globally, the SMEs, what is the value of the standards? It improves the quality of the products or service they provide. There's increased competitiveness and ability to demonstrate that your products are quality by getting certification, for example. There's increased confidence in the business and its products or services, improvements of the company image, the ability to cooperate and trade using common language. When we say common language, like we have classified the products, we are saying the cement is 32.5. Everybody from Morocco to South Africa to wherever, they will know that 32.5 is what kind of cement you're talking about. You talk of 42.5, they will know what it is. So they will not send you something different. That's the common language. If you're talking about grade 1 of maize, everybody will know it is grade 1. If it is wheat or it is rice, they will know it is grade 1. So you create that common language. You don't even think twice about it. You tell them, I'm ordering 100 tons of grade 1 maize, and you get it. Okay? So then there's interoperability of different products and systems. In other words, here you can also use it, the pooling of the tomatoes that one of the presenters was talking about. You can pull, because you know your grade 1 tomatoes, my grade 1 tomatoes are the same. So we can pull and get the volumes that we want. Okay. We recognize that when you have small farmers, what happens? You have to do aggregation. And aggregation can only happen if everybody understands what kind of grades you are talking about. So you can also meet legislative and regulatory requirements, improved access in public procurement. So we don't accuse our governments of going to import from outside. If we meet the standards, they can buy from, even if we are SMEs. Then ability to recruit, to be recruited into regional and global value chains, reduced costs. There are many benefits in that you can get. Yes. I want to move faster because there are, I think, things that you'll be discussing more. Participating in the global value chains means basically that a company can be sourcing for the products, either raw materials, intermediary products, or final products, based on understanding that you are meeting the standards. And then they can incorporate them into their production processes. Smooth. So when we are looking at all this, in summary, we can say that when you are meeting the standards, you are able to get certification. There are opportunities for competition on this, even if you are now competing with the bigger players, you can compete because your standards, you are complying with the standards, you have certification, and therefore, even if the other companies are bigger, you're also able to present your products in the market and you show that you are meeting those standards. So there will be no preference, except that maybe your branding is what can now cause the preference to be there. Yeah. So how do you, as a way of supporting SMEs by ARSO and other organizations in the continent, we are always trying to urge the SMEs to ensure that you group yourselves into the product clusters that you are specialized in, so that if we are going to address people are doing value addition in fish products, value addition in share products, for example, value addition in grains and such, we know you are clustered. But the moment you are so diverse, then it becomes difficult for any particular program to be tailored towards your needs. The second thing is facilitating if you are in groups, it is possible for you to even bid to supply. And what happens in some of the countries that they have tried to train those small companies together so that you're able to bid for procurement aspects. And then, as I said, when you are in clusters, it is possible that you can get the support that is necessary to improve your capacity, as well as get the resources that you require or get the exports organized. The next. There is a way we have tried to organize the support that we give to SMEs. First of all, start getting organized. Start getting your house in order. Formalize your processes. And that's what we are calling a maturity model. Maturity meaning that as a business, you start having a serious organization, documentation, and arrangement of the way you do your business. The second one, you start having a system of compliance. You can demonstrate compliance. You're having your products tested, and you can show certification. And as you move forward, at the first level, you have a bronze, which means you are a starter, you can be seen, you're organized. Second, you can now compete at the national level. The third level, you are competing at the national level as well as sub-regional level. Then the fourth, you are looking at competing continental internationally. And then, of course, you move to the other level. Now, there are ways of assessments that we do. And when we do that, you'll find that there are companies that have achieved those levels of certification. Let's move. We are just about to finish this. And in this, when you look at it, you are a startup, beginner, playing local, national level, national, regional level, then regional, global level, and excellent world-class competition. So those are the levels that you are taken through. This is just an assessment to show exactly how we arrive at that, the parameters that you meet as the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. As you move up, you are meeting more of the requirements which look optional to those at the lower levels, or they are very expensive for the lower levels to meet. So it also means that when you are going up, the level of expenditure on your conformity assessment, your marketing, branding, and everything goes up. So we have the African Conformity Assessment Program, and this is something that we will introduce in a future event, not now, just to tell you that it does exist. And that is the system that we are currently promoting for every African country to incorporate in their certification processes, so that then it can be used. Even if it is in South Africa, it's a product certified, following the same process, and demonstrating that you have the national as well as the continental mark, then everybody will recognize that that product is meeting a continental standard, and therefore there can be mutual recognition for it as long as it is carrying that mark. Next. So the benefits, as we indicated at the end of it, is what we call the mutual recognition of conformity assessment results. And when that happens, then the free movement of goods that is mentioned in the AfCFTA agreement can possibly happen. If we don't have that kind of certification, we shall still be struggling of countries wanting to come and see your production facility, as if it is only them who can make sure that what you are selling them is not going to cause harm to their population. So I don't want to read all this. The presentation will be available at you, so that it's just an elaboration of what I've said. Next. And so this is the structure as it is. It incorporates the accreditation. In Egypt, we know accreditation is an Egyptian accreditation body. Kenya has, South Africa has, the Southern Africa region has what we call SADCAS, and then the other bodies in Nigeria, they have their own accreditation bodies. So that we use that system. That accreditation system is linked internationally, meaning that when the accreditation is done in this continent, it is recognized at the international level, and therefore we can also export these products outside of the continent. Yeah, these are the steps. I don't want to read them through. Please, you can supply the presentation. We have currently 9 certification schemes, but we're adding 2 more. 11 certification schemes will come in, including what we call the Made in Africa certification scheme that we are working with ITC to ensure that it takes place. These are the steps normally that you take. It's a pictorial representation, but we have the detailed representation of how you can get the certification done. I thank you very much for your time, and I hope we shall be having more to discuss in this.
Thank you very much, Ruben, and thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have found today interesting and useful to your exporting endeavors. As you know, tomorrow we're going to have another session. So we're going to start tomorrow 1 hour earlier at 9. So make sure that you're on time, because we're having an exciting session for you. We are going to be talking about trade finance, and we're going to have AfCFTA Bank present with us as well. So you'll get the opportunity to find out about your schemes. I would like to thank once more to all presenters who have been together with us, and to the organizers as well. And thank you as well for your attention in your time. Before we leave, we have our representative from ICOYACA who's going to tell us about another exciting event taking place just now.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I know you've been sitting for a while. Thank you so much. Heartfelt gratitude for attending this masterclass, and we hope it's been enriching and that you've gained insights on day one that will propel your businesses forward. We're going to break now for 15 minutes. There are refreshments just out here, so you can use this time to grab some refreshments, network, use the bathroom, but come back 15 minutes maximum, but please come back, because the next session is a very exciting session, and this is the commemoration of the Africa Youth Month and AfCFTA Youth Day, 2nd edition, and it's going to have 2 high-level panel discussions as well. We're very excited. So we'll see you in 15 minutes. Thank you.
So I am super excited to be part of the coordination of this Continental Bootcamp for young leaders and policymakers. We have more than 15 countries participating in the 1-week bootcamp, where we are going to be exploring socio-economic development arenas, policy formulation and frameworks, and young people's spaces to make influence in these spaces.
We're looking for solutions. Are you a problem solver, or are you adding to the problems? I hope that whatever we are going to learn here is going to be applied and applied until Africa's is boundless, and Africa movement of young people has that freedom, so that we do not need these papers they call visas, what have you. You are the hope of Africa.
Bringing together people from the different sectors is a way where we can learn from each other, and we can inspire each other, and we can promise each other that together we can actually do something different. So this is an opportunity to influence each other, not only on this bootcamp, but also at the ULEAD Summit next week, where you can really push for change.
The opportunities, the resources are in your hands. It is time now to drive Africa. The Africa we want lies in your hand. It does not lie to our elders, it lies in your hands. It lies in the hands of the youth. Asanteni sana. I wish you a good deliberation. With that, I officially open this bootcamp. Asante sana.
From your applications, you have demonstrated that you're already practicing leadership somewhere. So our only job is to alert you about your personality, who you are as a millennial, and how you relate to leadership. And then maybe in the conversation that you're going to have, we will try and ensure that then you become the best you can be as a millennial.
So to be in this bootcamp is to be reminded that the young people are not homogeneous. We're not all the same. We come from different economic backgrounds, different social backgrounds, and just appreciating that fact as a young leader is going to help me a lot in making proper advice to the board that I serve in. I've also been reminded about the power of engaging young people, organizing them beyond mobilization. So I had not fully become aware of the distinction between mobilization and organization. And the bootcamp has already opened me to that awareness. So I'm very grateful for that.
I think one of the very things that resonated with me in policy formulation was the issue of privileges. That was one of our first lessons. It resonated with me because I believe in public policy, it's easy to make policies that ignore a minority. The issue of privileges means some people get to enjoy certain freedoms, they get to enjoy certain rights, they get to enjoy certain fruits of public policy that others are not better able to enjoy. Going forward, in policy formulation, there's need to include people from different walks of life, people who enjoy different privileges.
Within the bootcamp, we're trying to see how can we harness this potential that Africa's young people have to move us into the future that we need. But on the side of the policymakers, we are hoping that this can create a renewed sense of trust and social contract, where the policymakers are able to understand the young people's challenges and the gaps there is, but also areas of how they can go back in their respective countries and create conducive environments where young people are able to thrive within their spaces.
Giving it back to GIZ for supporting this initiative. Please stand up on your feet and give a rousing appreciation to GIZ. Please do that.
So thank you so much, and also to the entire management. Pass our appreciation.
Document that is required.
So in the case
yes.
where
but where you are non-compliant,
yes.
where you are, I've said where you are compliant,
yes.
that process must be completed within the service level, the time agreed on by that department.
We're going to hear from your representative, who will also give us a few remarks in less than 5 minutes, and then once he's done, we'll see your performance. So get ready, embrace yourself, whether you're going to start from there and come through. Let us know how much space you want.
One Young Africa, we say yes to one Africa market.
Times are changing, and Africa is now the world's youngest continent.
Africa is the youngest continent. Majority of the population are under 35.
What are we doing about the youth? Because the youth constitute one of the important pillars that we're focused on.
Let me say the youth are not only the future of this region, but I believe we are the present and future.
If we define what do we mean by young people, there is this external perception that young people are a homogeneous group. This is not the reality. We have also young people in vulnerable settings. We have young people with disabilities, and we have foremost young women.
But again, a population that is ill-skilled and unemployed can be a demographic curse. So this is the challenge. But the opportunity is in us trying to convert this demographic dividend into opportunities.
But also young people as being the largest population, they are our biggest asset.
Because the richness of nations is not in stones, but in its people.
It's never been more important to develop our youth into confident and transformational leaders that can navigate Africa through the incoming economic and political climates. Africa's youth are faced with growing concerns about how to thrive in their purpose, and that's where You Lead Africa comes in. Founded in 2017, we are Africa's flagship youth leadership program, following the youth's greater demands and expanding our work from the East African community to the continent.
There are many challenges facing young people on the African continent. The biggest one of them is that each and every one of the young people in Africa have the desire to become a leader. I think investments should be made more to build the capacity of young people in Africa to become effective leaders. Under globalization, the world is small. The whole world outside there has skills. We need to equip our youth with the requisite skills so that they participate properly, even in global interaction. And this means that we need to do more to create economic opportunities and work opportunities for young people.
You Lead for me represents that opportunity for young people to first of all think about their problems collectively and then develop, if it be disruptive strategies to take action on addressing those challenges.
The summit is not just a 3 days or 4 or 5 days event for young people to come and chit-chat and go home. Whatever they are saying is influencing our one-year work, what we call the post-summit agenda.
With now more than 10,000 alumni and over 30 partners, and active partner-led work in all 5 major African regions, a One Young Africa is our vision.
We have a great vision. We're envisioning 150 delegates in person, 20,000 virtually, but this is not, to me, the only success indicator. The success indicator is ensuring that all these 20,000 young people virtually provide inputs and meaningfully engage throughout the conversation, and all their suggestions are then incorporated into our post-summit agenda.
Look at 2017, just East Africa coming together, and now thousands of African young people.
Summit 2021, we are proud to announce that we are going continental, coming together as a One Young Africa.
And we want actually to break the borders. The CFTA is here. We want African young people to come together under You Lead Summit platform, trade together across the borders, innovate together across the borders, and create jobs as well as prosper together.
That's what drove us to become, One Young Africa. We have the potential and the capacity to do so.
From 8th to 12th November 2021, we are hosting Africa's largest hybrid summer ever with You Lead Africa's patron, His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of Tanzania as Chief Convener, and Honorable Dr. Peter Matuki, the EAC Secretary General as co-convener. The theme is The Future of Africa, creating jobs, feeding and housing the world's youngest continent.
I call upon policymakers, development partners, the private sector, media, civil society, and other stakeholders to be part of and support the East African community in convening this year's You Lead Summit.
It will attract participation from all the partner states of the EAC and indeed the continent. I thank you. Asanteni sana. See you in Arusha. Tujenge vijana wetu.
Since 2017, You Lead Summit, as popularly known, is jointly convened annually by the East African Community and MS Training Center for Development Cooperation in Arusha, Tanzania, in collaboration with a myriad of partners.
COVID-19 is both a blessing and a curse, equally.
We have seen how the COVID pandemic has hit very hard young people.
And this is why You Lead Africa will bring together more than 15,000 people on a single platform, because travel is restricted, but more people come together through the internet, courtesy of COVID-19.
We are welcoming a virtual and physical audience from all African countries together on the same platform.
Nonetheless, COVID-19 has reduced the opportunities for young people. Young people have lost jobs, and COVID-19 pushes us beyond the boundary to innovate and create jobs that we have lost. using COVID-friendly mechanisms such as online platforms, as well as increased cooperation between and among young people across the borders, especially under the CFTA, which regards that trade should happen beyond borders of any country.
At One Young Africa.
You Lead Summit 2019 is the Africa that we want.
And I really appreciate You Lead Summit for giving us a platform on how we can build a collective power to create a sustainable movement that will help us create change in our society.
So I'm very, very happy to participate in You Lead Summit 2019.
You Lead Summit is really awesome.
You Lead Summit Youth Power.
You Lead Summit is empowering.
You Lead Africa, a One Young Africa where dreams are born and youth become leaders.
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika,
What can we do to reduce unemployment? Can we be job creators rather than just job seekers?
The only business you can go into, whether you are a public figure, or public official, or otherwise, and nobody will trace you or probe you, is agriculture.
This is where the ideas of young people can begin snowballing.
We need to get into technological innovation. Since 2021, investors have thrown $940 million into technology companies in Africa. So technology is the way to go.
It is important that whatever is done at policy level is disseminated to the users or to the beneficiaries.
What is your ideal Africa that you wish to have?
Africa which supports the youth, because the youth are the innovative and they can move Africa.
An Africa driven by business, trade and investment.
It's a united Africa, one Africa by Africans and for Africans.
I want the AfCFTA to be for the young people and driven by the young people.
Buy East Africa, build East Africa. That is the brand we need to put across. That is the song we should be singing as youth.
Mine it is Africa that is borderless.
I think it's important to start to aim low, to build your business, to have some experience and then be confident enough to go beyond from your village to the next town and to the region.
East Africa is a home of close to almost 200 million people. And if you are to go and design a product, one product, however small it is, you'll be assured of 200 million people. If you are selling that product for $1, and you are able to get that market, that's the money you'll be able to make. You can make Africa the factory of the world. It is possible.
It is a great privilege to be part of this important youth event, and allow me to express his deepest appreciation to you. He's so proud of you, of what you're doing, particularly You Lead and the youth present there, but also at the continental level. As we continue to nurture the young people, the young generation, we must acknowledge that they need key technical skills to become more competitive in the process of realizing the African Continental Free Trade Area, and also to encounter various challenges related to financing and ease of movement.
I like the idea of having a forum where people from all walks of life and from the various social, economic, and political backgrounds sitting together under one roof to discuss issues of common interest. The Arusha debate will seek to discuss and highlight pressing African issues which would require regional, continental, and global policy attention and action. This kind of focus of the Arusha debate is something I wholeheartedly welcome and support. A successful Arusha debate will add another significant milestone to the Arusha brand. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that I have no doubt in my mind that you will be able to deliver the Arusha debates as a world-class undertaking. If they could do it with Davos, we can also do it with Arusha. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, after those many words, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to declare the inaugural Arusha debates officially open. Best of luck.
AfCFTA is a tool, we could say, that looks to see how Africa could unite economically, socially, politically. So it's a grand aspiration.
Youth perspectives informed our further engagements with policymakers, especially the government and other stakeholders.
First, youth, yes, had heard about the AfCFTA, but only on the internet. And they confessed that they had not been involved or got engaged in the process before. And therefore, they were not, they would say, we have heard about the AfCFTA, but we don't know it. We cannot say it is ours.
We discovered that there was urge for more information.
One of the major recommendations and outcomes of the study is that there should be an annual AfCFTA Youth Inclusion Index to measure how youth are participating, how their knowledge and interest levels are growing.
And therefore, we had to find the young people where they are. They are on TikTok, they are on Instagram, they're on Facebook and Twitter. And this has really helped us to not only roll out the project initiatives, but also reach them where they are and allow them from all the 55 countries of Africa to participate actively in the project.
Young men and women, with the pillars, with the future, here we are, let's join together. With ability to change communities, with love, with peace, to respond to our need, to call for unity. Africa, hear me cry, never leave me alone. As I see light in a brighter future, let's join hands for youth and women. Let's join hands for youth and women. I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, let your dream be a reality. We will lead, let your dream be a reality.
Yeah, vijana wa Afrika wote waungana, vijana vijana kutoka mashariki, magharibi, kaskazini na kusini, hata na kati, twaja pamoja ili tufanye nini?
So I am super excited to be part of the coordination of this Continental Bootcamp for young leaders and policymakers. We have more than 15 countries participating in the one-week bootcamp, where we are going to be exploring socio-economic development arenas, policy formulation and frameworks, and young people's spaces to make influence in these spaces.
We're looking for solutions. Are you a problem solver, or are you adding to the problems? I hope that whatever we are going to learn here is going to be applied and applied until Africa is boundless, and Africa movement of young people has that freedom, so that we do not need these papers they call visas, what have you. You are the hope of Africa.
Bringing together people from the different sectors is a way where we can learn from each other, and we can inspire each other, and we can promise each other that together we can actually do something different. So this is an opportunity to influence each other, not only on this bootcamp, but also at the ULEAD Summit next week, where you can really push for change.
The opportunities, the resources are in your hands. It is time now to drive Africa. The Africa we want lies in your hand. It does not lie to our elders, it lies in your hands. It lies in the hands of the youth. Asanteni sana. I wish you a good deliberation. With that, I officially open this bootcamp. Asante sana.
From your applications, you have demonstrated that you're already practicing leadership somewhere. So our only job is to alert you about your personality, who you are as a millennial, and how you relate to leadership. And then maybe in the conversation that you're going to have, we will try and ensure that then you become the best you can be as a millennial.
So to be in this bootcamp is to be reminded that the young people are not homogeneous. We're not all the same. We come from different economic backgrounds, different social backgrounds, and just appreciating that fact as a young leader is going to help me a lot in making proper advice to the board that I serve in. I've also been reminded about the power of engaging young people, organizing them beyond mobilization. So I had not fully become aware of the distinction between mobilization and organization, and the bootcamp has already opened me to that awareness. So I'm very grateful for that.
I think one of the very things that resonated with me in policy formulation was the issue of privileges. That was one of our first lessons. It resonated with me because I believe in public policy, it's easy to make policies that ignore a minority. The issue of privileges means some people get to enjoy certain freedoms, they get to enjoy certain rights, they get to enjoy certain fruits of public policy that others are not better able to enjoy. Going forward, in policy formulation, there's need to include people from different walks of life, people who enjoy different privileges.
Within the bootcamp, we're trying to see how can we harness this potential that Africa's young people have to move us into the future that we need. But on the side of the policymakers, we are hoping that this can create a renewed sense of trust and social contract, where the policymakers are able to understand the young people's challenges and the gaps there is, but also areas of how they can go back in their respective countries and create conducive environments where young people are able to thrive within their spaces.
Giving it back to GIZ for supporting this initiative. Please stand up on your feet and give a rousing appreciation to GIZ. Please do that.
So thank you so much, and also to the entire management. Pass our appreciation.
document that is required.
So in the case
Yes,
where
but where you are non-compliant,
Yes.
where you are, I've said where you are compliant,
Yes.
that process must be completed within the service level, the time agreed on by that department.
We're going to hear from your representative, who will also give us a few remarks in less than 5 minutes. And then once he's done, we'll see your performance. So get ready, embrace yourself, whether you're going to start from there and come through. Let us know how much space you want.
One Young Africa, we say yes to one Africa market. Thank you.
Times are changing, and Africa is now the world's youngest continent.
Africa is the youngest continent. Majority of the population are under 35.
What are we doing about the youth? Because the youth constitute one of the important pillars that we're focused on.
Let me say the youth are not only the future of this region, but I believe we are the present and future.
If we define what do we mean by young people, there is this external perception that young people are a homogeneous group. This is not the reality. We have also young people in vulnerable settings. We have young people with disabilities, and we have foremost young women.
But again, a population that is ill-skilled and unemployed can be a demographic curse. So this is the challenge. But the opportunity is in us trying to convert this demographic dividend into opportunities.
But also young people, as being the largest population, they are our biggest asset.
Because the richness of nations is not in stones, but in its people.
It's never been more important to develop our...
Of the perhaps most important commemorations on this program. My name is Daniel Adunya. I work with the Youth Division of the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa, and I'm responsible for the Youth Development portfolio. So today we have a panel dedicated to youth economic empowerment, industrialization, and the CFTA. You are all welcome. Perhaps just a small heads up. Due to the time that we have been allocated, the program has shifted, and we are required to leave this room latest by 6. So the program has changed a little bit, and we are going to try and squeeze it as much as possible without compromising on the content. So with that, allow me to first start with the opening remarks from the Director of Women, Gender and Youth Directorate of the African Union Commission, Ms. Prudence Ngwenya. Ms. Prudence, however, has been called in to a very a planning session for another high-level event happening tomorrow. So she has handed over her remarks and given her apologies that she so much wanted to be here and couldn't. So I'm just going to read the remarks in a parenthesis, so as they are been given to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. Happy African Youth Day and warm greetings to everyone here present. It is a great pleasure to be gathered here today to celebrate the greatest resource of our continent, our youth. As you all probably know, November the 1st of every year marks African Youth Day, as proclaimed on the adoption of the African Youth Charter in Banjul, Gambia in 2006. For me, African Youth Day should be every day. With over 420 million people aged 15 to 35, making up to 40% of African population, our continent boasts the largest youth population of any region in the world. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Africa's largest resource. Not the gold, not the oil, not the diamond, not the land. It's the young people of Africa. But just like any other resource, we need to invest in our youth for us to reap their value and to harness their full potential in the youth. We need to invest in their skills development, in education, employment, entrepreneurship, and youth civic engagement, as well as the health and well-being of our young people. It's only by creating opportunities for our youth that they can become resources to themselves and eventually to Africa and the world, thus contributing towards achieving Agenda 2063, the Africa we all want. I therefore would like to use the rest of my time to communicate two messages. First message is to highlight flagship initiatives that we at the African Union Commission through the Women, Gender and Youth Directorate have put in place to prioritize youth development as well as their economic and financial empowerment. The first one is the initiative 1 Million Next Level that was launched by the African Union Commission's chairperson, His Excellency, Mr. Musa Faki Mahamat, which seeks to reach 300 million young people with opportunities in health and well-being, education, employment, entrepreneurship, and engagement by 2030. And the second one initiative is the Women and Youth Financial and Economic Inclusion Initiative, or WAFE as we call it, which is a public-private women and youth partnership initiative under the African Women's Decade 2020, 2020, and 2030 that seeks to unlock key systemic bottlenecks that conspire to perpetuate poverty, deprivation, and social injustice among women and young people. It is evident that continental initiatives such as the intra-African trade fair and the African Continental Free Trade Area bring concrete opportunities to our youth in terms of creating decent jobs, knowledge and skills transfer, and pathways to a dignified life. While we often hear of white elephants like jobless growth and skills mismatch, it is our responsibility as duty bearers to ensure that young people remain at the center of our development efforts. This is in line with today's event we organize with CFTA Youth Advisory Council and all our esteemed partners, which seeks to achieve the following objectives. 1, identify drivers and challenges for youth employment in Africa's industrialization. 2, enhancing understanding of financial inclusion, industrialization, market connectivity, and the CFTA intersections. And 3, fostering networking, partnerships, and skills development spaces for African youth, encouraging collaboration and policy influence in the CFTA implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude my remarks and officially open this event, allow me to celebrate again our young people and recognize each and every young man and young woman of our continent. Allow me to also recognize all partners who made this event possible. It is a shared values partnership like this one that meaningfully impact our young people. To our youth, immerse yourself fully into all the opportunities that our continent has to offer. But go even further, innovate, improve, and make them better so that you can impact and shape the continent long after my generation has retired. Without the consideration of young people, there is no development that will be passed on to generations and unshackles us of cycles of poverty and underdevelopment. We have the duty and responsibility to meaningfully engage young people and provide them with the conducive environment they need to build themselves and prosper our continent and the world. Long live Africa, long live African youth, and happy African Youth Day. Once again, I thank you all. With those remarks from the Director of Women, Gender and Youth, Ms. Prudence Ngwenya, allow me to invite the next speaker, Ms. Anela Simon, who is the Secretary General of ICOYACA. Ms. Anela, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniel. Good evening again. Just to reintroduce myself, my name is Anela Simon, and I am the Acting Secretary General for the Youth Advisory Council, ICOYACA for short. I'm also a proud AfCFTA champion. And as Mr. Daniel has already noted, due to the change in program, some of our speakers, unfortunately, especially the ones online, will no longer be able to join us virtually, but we do note them, most notably the AfCFTA Secretariat, as well as the Project Management Institute, who would have loved to hear from. This is very important for us to commemorate this day, and especially this month, for youth participation. In terms of the AfCFTA Youth Day, it began last year in partnership with the Ministry of Youth of the Republic of Uganda, as well as the AfCFTA Secretariat, and invaluable support, as always, from the International Trade Center. So that was a very successful event. We had more than 1,000 youth traders who joined us virtually and in person, much like today. But subsequently as well, we had nearly 70,000 youth engagements. And it just shows and underscores how African youth are ready and excited to actually shape the future of African commerce, which is why we are here. And our objective today is clear, it is consistent. We want to empower the youth using AfCFTA to harness their economic growth, but also to harness opportunities to empower, build each other up, and also to create employment. So with that said, we are looking forward to the 2 high-level panels that we have planned for you here today. And we do hope that you will be able to engage, to network, and use this opportunity online and in person to ask questions, to interact, and so forth. I'm not sure if we'll be able to have the online speakers join us at this point, so I'm going to rather move to the next speaker. It is with great pleasure and gratitude that I would like to introduce our keynote speaker. This is Dr. Amini Al-Wasal, and she is the head of Commercial Agreements Sector in the Egyptian Ministry for Trade and Industry. So, Dr. Al-Wasal, please come and make the keynote.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أنا الحقيقة برحب بيكم كلكم أولا في السيشن دي، ومهمة جدا بالنسبة لي أنا لأنه هي تخص الشباب. الشباب في أفريقيا الحقيقة هم اللي هيقدروا يحققوا نتائج مهمة لمنطقة التجارة الحرة الأفريقية بطبيعتهم، لأنهم شباب فهم ريسك تيكر، عندهم قدرة على التغيير، ومن ثم علشان نعمل التغيير. أنا الحقيقة في السيشن يعني في تجهيز هذا السيشن وفي الطلب أنا طلب مني إن أنا أتكلم على برنامج الإصلاح الاقتصادي المصري، وإزاي حقق نتائج على مستوى التصنيع وحقق نتائج في النمو وعمل تمكين للمرأة وتمكين للشباب. أنا هتكلم باختصار شديد جدا عشان الوقت. إحنا بدأنا، خلينا نقول إحنا أولا الإصلاح الاقتصادي ده عملية مستمرة، ما هواش برنامج بينتهي. احنا بدأنا في مصر إصلاح اقتصادي من سنة 1991، من 91 لحد النهاردة، ودخلنا في أكتر من مرحلة للإصلاح الاقتصادي. وخلينا نقول إنه أول مرحلة دي كانت بالنسبة لنا مرحلة تعليم، لأنه كنا بننتقل من اقتصاد مخطط تماما لاقتصاد حر. احنا الهدف عشان نعمل تمكين وعشان نعمل تصنيع وعشان يبقى فيه تشغيل، لازم يبقى فيه سياسات بتسمح للقطاع الخاص إن هو يشتغل. القطاع الخاص بالمستوى الكبير بتاعه، برأس المال الجاي من بره، بالشركات العالمية، وبيسمح لكل المشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة ومشروعات الشباب ويمكنها إنها تشتغل. بدأنا الإصلاح الاقتصادي بتعديل السياسات نحو سياسات تشجع الاقتصاد الحر، واتنقلنا من المرحلة دي يمكن من 91 ل 2000 بالنسبة لنا في الحكومة المصرية كانت مرحلة تعلم، ازاي ننقل المجتمع كله كمواطنين وكموظفين في الحكومة وكجهات صانعة للسياسة إنها تقدر تعمل سياسة تشجع القطاع الخاص. دي كانت المرحلة الأولى. المرحلة الثانية من بداية الألفينات دخلنا في الإصلاح الهيكلي، دي المرحلة الثانية من الإصلاح الاقتصادي. الإصلاح الاقتصادي إصلاح السياسات. المرحلة الثانية اللي هو خلاص عايزين نشوف نتيجة هذه السياسات على القطاع الخاص وعلى جذب الاستثمارات وعلى تشجيع الأفكار والابتكار. ده مهم قوي في منطقة التجارة الحرة الأفريقية على وجه الخصوص. ليه؟ لأنه إحنا 55 دولة متنوعة، كلها دول نامية، ده تعريفها الأصلي، كلنا دول نامية، بنتفاوت في مراحل النمو لكننا ما زلنا دول نامية. عندنا مجموعة من الدول الأقل نمواً. الدول الأقل نمواً بالذات عندها سياسات حمائية جديدة، ما زالت تخطط، ما زالت الدولة تفعل كل شيء، وإحنا محتاجين. عشان كده الشباب مهم. ليه؟ لأنه هو القادر على إحداث تغيير في السياسات. عشان نعمل تصنيع محتاجين رأس مال، وبالتالي السياسات بتشجع على جذب الاستثمارات عشان يحصل تراكم لرؤوس الأموال. السياسات اللي بتشجع آليات السوق الحر بتسمح للمشروعات الصغيرة، تسمح بالابتكار، وبتبنى على حاجة مهمة قوي. حاضر. وبتبنى على حاجة مهمة قوي اللي هي التعليم الجيد. ازاي احنا كدولة نوجه نظم التعليم بتاعتنا نحو الوظائف الأكثر طلبا. يمكن احنا كمصر الحقيقة عندنا وزارة الاتصالات، ده مثل يعني، بقالنا فيه حوالي 5-6 سنوات وزارة الاتصالات تبنت مجموعة من المبادرات لتعليم الشباب كل التقنيات وكل نظم المعلومات الحديثة بما فيها ازاي يفكر يعمل ابلكيشن، ازاي يفكر فاحنا النهارده كمصر بقى عندنا مجموعة كبيرة جدا من الشباب اللي هي بتشتغل اونلاين، بتشتغل مع نفسها، بتبتكر، بتبعت بره، بتعمل شغل، بتحط ابلكيشنز على منصات عالمية وبتتباع وبتحقق دخل. ده احد مصادر احنا دورنا كحكومة ان احنا نهيئ البيئة ونستخدم كل الادوات التعليم بشكل رئيسي. ازاي الناس تقدر تعمل شغل. واحنا بنتكلم عن الشباب، الشباب هو اللي قادر على الابتكار، هو اللي قادر على احداث التغيير، هو اللي قادر ينقل تكنولوجيا جديده وينقل ثقافات جديده للمجتمعات بتاعتها، وده اللي احنا محتاجينه في افريقيا كلها. احنا ازاي عملنا اصلاح اقتصادي؟ بدانا زي ما قلت سنه 91 لحد سنه 2000. بدانا من سنه 2000 برنامج اصلاح هيكلي وتمكين القطاع الخاص وجذب استثمارات اجنبيه، وبعدين بدأنا نتكلم على تشجيع المشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة والمتناهية الصغر. وطبعا مع التطور الشديد اللي حاصل في العالم كله، يمكن في التكنولوجيا بالذات، ظهرت وظائف لم تكن موجودة من قبل واختفت وظائف تقليدية، وده المستقبل. واحنا كل شوية بنقرأ ايه المستقبل في التوظف، هتلاقي حاجات كتير جدا بتختفي كانت مهمة في فترة من الفترات نتيجة التكنولوجيا. وبالتالي أولاً التعليم الجيد، تبني تقنيات في التعليم حديثة تعلم الناس أو توجههم لتعليم حاجات معينة. الدولة هي اللي بتوجه. ممكن يبقى عندي حد صغير يقدر يتعلم بنفسه، لكن أنا كدولة بعمل مبادرة، بقول أنا هشجع، وزي اللي احنا عاملينه النهاردة في مصر. وزارة الاتصالات الحقيقة تبنت برنامج رفع مستويات التفكير والابتكار والتعليم لدى الشباب، وبقى أصبح عندنا في مصر جيل من الشباب بيشتغل مع الشركات العالمية إما من جوه مصر أو من بره مصر. وده جيل، ده اللي هيضيف يمكن لمصر في فترة من الفترات. الحاجة الثانية المهمة جدا إن إحنا في إطار برنامجنا الإصلاح الاقتصادي طبعا بنواجه صعوبات شديدة نتيجة أزمات اقتصادية، نتيجة أزمات صحية عالمية زي ما واجهنا كلنا في أزمة كورونا، وما تلاها بعد كده الحرب الروسية الأوكرانية. ده بيؤثر سلبا على سير الاقتصاد. لكن دورنا كل شوية إن احنا ندي مساعدات نمكن المرأة. احنا عندنا ده برنامج في إطار جهاز المشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة لتمكين المرأة. وعايزة أقول احنا عندنا مؤشر مهم جدا في مصر، مؤشر اقتصادي واجتماعي مهم جدا، إنه في الريف 85% من السيدات هي مرأة معيلة، يعني هي اللي بتصرف على البيت، هي بتتحمل المسؤولية المالية للبيت بتاعها. وده جزء من الثقافة المصرية من زمان، ان الست في البيت حتى في الريف هي بتنتج، هي منتجة بطبعها، هي عندها حسن إدارة وتخصيص للموارد بتاعتها بشكل جيد جدا، وبتتكيف مع الظروف. وده مكننا ان احنا السيدات دول النهارده انتقلوا لمرحله تانية خالص، استخدموا التكنولوجيا في ان هم يشتغلوا بقى، يعملوا هم بنفسهم صناعات صغيره، يشغلوا ناس تانية. فبقى عندنا عدد من السيدات يمكن بيتعدى 30,000 بيشتغلوا من بيوتهم وهم مشغلين ناس تانية. وبالتالي بقى عندنا عدد يمكن احنا ما نقدرش نعمل له احصائيه كدوله، لانه ده احيانا بيدخل في عداد الاقتصاد غير الرسمي، لكن ده حاجه مهمه جدا للاقتصاد بتاعنا. الناس دي هي دي اللي احنا بنستهدفها ببرنامج الاصلاح بتاعنا. جزء مهم جدا انه الدوله بتديهم مساعدات، توفر لهم ان هم يشتركوا في معارض كل شويه، ممكن جوه مصر او بره مصر. تمكين المراه احد عناصر او احد اهداف برنامج الاصلاح الاقتصادي والاجتماعي، لان احنا ما عندناش، ما هوش اصلاح اقتصادي بس، هو اصلاح اقتصادي واجتماعي. وعندنا اكتر من مبادره الحقيقه، سواء من وزاره التضامن الاجتماعي، سواء من جهاز المشروعات الصغيره والمتوسطه تجاه الشباب وتجاه المراه على وجه الخصوص، لانه دورها في المجتمع. احنا بالنسبة لنا السيدة المصرية هي القادرة على إدارة وتخصيص مواردها بمنتهى الكفاءة، ومن ثم فتعليمها وتمكينها اقتصاديا مهم جدا. طبعا عندنا مبادرات أخرى لدعم المرأة غير القادرة ولتحسين قدرتها على الحياة والمعيشة، لكن بالنسبة للتشغيل وللتصنيع برنامج المشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، قروض المشروعات الصغيرة من خلال البنوك، القروض المدعوم الفايدة بتاعتها مدعومة، يمكن توصل ل 5% بالكتير، في حين ان احنا عندنا كمصر معدل الفايدة عندنا بيعدي 18% و20%، زائد وزارة التضامن الاجتماعي. الثلاث قطاعات او الثلاث أجهزة دول، بالإضافة إلى الأجهزة اللي احنا ممكن نسميها إقليمية جوه المحافظات المختلفة البعيدة، ان إدارة المحافظة نفسها عندها وسائل تقدر تشغل أو تساعد بيها هؤلاء على العمل. زي ما قلت احنا بدأنا برنامج الإصلاح الاقتصادي بتاعنا سنة 91. سنة 2000 بدأنا برنامج للإصلاح الهيكلي. الإصلاح الهيكلي قام على دعم الاقتصاد الحقيقي. يعني ايه دعم الاقتصاد الحقيقي؟ يعني أنا خلاص أنا عندي سياسة تجارة حرة، عندي سياسة نقدية وسياسة مالية بتخدم على آليات السوق، ومن ثم فإحنا محتاجين نجتذب استثمارات أجنبية، محتاجين يحصل تراكم لرأس المال المحلي للمشروعات الصغيرة والمتوسطة، ومحتاجين ننقل تكنولوجيات خارجية في كل حاجة، في الإنتاج وفي التصنيع وفي التصدير. إحنا حاليا يعني بنتبنى سياسة بتقوم على، يمكن هي هقولها بالعربي وأنا هقولها بالإنجليزي، بتقول عليهم 3 ت. يعني إيه 3 ت؟ يعني تصنيع، تشغيل، تصدير. إذا أنت تمكنت إنك تصنع، تشغل الناس، تصدر، فأنت عملت نتيجة كويسة جدا. وده وصل النهارده احنا عندنا، يعني الحقيقه انا وظيفتي في وزاره التجاره والصناعه قطاع الاتفاقات والتجاره الخارجيه، لكن انا عندي مؤسسه تانية كمان بشرف عليها اسمها صندوق تنميه الصادرات. دي مهمتها تساعد المصدرين. انا عندي في المؤسسه دي 3000 مصدر، منهم 1700 مصدرين صغار جدا، منهم حوالي اكتر من 800 من المحافظات البعيده. كلهم بنتعامل معاهم، لما نشوفهم منهم ناس بسيطه جدا يمكن ما حصلتش مستوى من التعليم عالي، لكن هم رجال اعمال على اعلى مستوى، بيقدروا يديروا بيزنس، بيقدروا ينتجوا، بيقدروا يصدروا. فالنماذج دي اللي احنا بنحاول نساعدها ببرامج للتسويق ومشاركتهم في المعارض. بنحاول نساعدهم عشان يقدروا اولا يطلعوا على ثقافات خارجية في المواصفات، في الإنتاج، في التعبئة، في التغليف، في طريقة عرض منتجاتهم، يقدروا يعملوا تعاقدات خارجية ويقدروا يصدروا، يبقى عندهم دخل، لأن الناس دي بتشغل ناس إحنا مش شايفينها. فعليا كحكومة ممكن ما نكونش شايف دي عمالة، احنا بنطلق عليها عمالة موسمية غير رسمية غير مسجلة، بس ده عدد كبير جدا. خلينا أقول برضو إن احنا في الصناعات عندنا صناعات اللي أحيانا بنسميها تحت الأنقياد الصناعات الإبداعية. عندنا قطاع اسمه قطاع الصناعات الحرفية. الصناع ده بيعمل فيه 2 مليون سيدة في مصر. دول بيعملوا من منازلهم، لكن منهم ناس وصلت انها تصدر. يعني انا عندي حد بيصدر لهاردز، حاجات كلها هاند ميد. انا شفتها مره الحقيقه لانه حصل مشكله فجالي هي دي، واحنا بنبسط الاجراءات بالنسبه لهم، بنطلش منهم مستندات كتير، بنحاول نسهل ان هم بدل مسجلين في اكتر من جهه حكوميه بمسجلين في جهه واحده بس، وبالتالي ممكن تحصل له مشكله ويتقال له انت مصنع كبير ازاي مش متسجل. فلما جانا لقينا قال ده هاند ميد بس بيصدروا هاردز في لندن. ده حاجه، وده بيطلع من بيوت، مصنوعات زجاجيه بتطلع من منازل، ما بتطلعش من مصنع. لكن كان حاجه جميله بالنسبه لنا انه في حد بيعمل الكلام ده في مصر وبيطلعه. فالاصلاح الاقتصادي قايم على تمكين القطاع الخاص بكل فئاته. القطاع الخاص الكبير اللي جاي من بره، المستثمر الكبير اللي بينقل تكنولوجيا وبيشغل عدد كبير من الناس وبينتج منتجات، في جزء منها منتجات عالمية بننتج تحت براندز عالمية، وجزء تاني بيشجع القطاع الخاص الذي يملك رأس مال ويملك فكر عالي جدا في البيزنس، من خلاله نقدر نعمل علامات تجارية مصرية، براندز مصرية، نقدر محليا وعالميا نشتغل. وبنشجع المشروعات الصغيرة والشباب وتمكين المرأة. بالنسبة للشباب خلينا نقول احنا يمكن ده قلنا في السيشن اللي اتكلمنا فيه من شوية، احنا كدول نامية وكدول بتتبنى سياسات حمائية، ده مش هيبقى عائق في طريق منطقة التجارة الحرة الأفريقية. احنا منطقة التجارة الحرة الأفريقية هي أكبر منطقة تجارة حرة في العالم، 55 دولة، ويمكن هنقعد سنين على ما نوصل في منطقة تجارة حرة اللي بعديها هتبقى اتحاد أوروبي دولة. فاحنا 55 دولة متفاوتين في النمو وما زلنا كلنا دول نامية. عندنا دول حققت قدر من التقدم ودول لسه بتتلمس خطوات النمو، وبالتالي احنا محتاجين كلنا نستكشف الفرص. من لديه قدرة على استكشاف الفرص هم الشباب، من لديه فرصة على الابتكار هم الشباب، من لديه قدرة على انه يخاطر هم الشباب. ومن ثم فالشباب في افريقيا يمكن 40% من عدد السكان شباب. دي حاجه كويسه جدا جدا. احنا في مصر يمكن احنا عندنا 60% من عدد السكان شباب، لكن في افريقيا بشكل 40% ده شباب. ده اللي هيطلع بيها لقدام، هم اللي هيقدروا يغيروا في السياسات الاقتصاديه والتجاريه المطبقه، هم هيقدروا يحاربوا الاتجاهات الحمائيه، هم اللي هيقدروا يجذبوا استثمارات. دولة قارة غنية بالموارد التي ما زالت خام، التي ما زالت غير مستغلة الاستغلال الأمثل، التي ما زالت دولها لا تحصل على حقها الكافي في ثمن المواد الخام. احنا من مصلحتنا انه يبقى عندنا قيمة مضافة على مواردنا الخام، من مصلحتنا ان احنا نشغل الموارد الخام، من مصلحتنا ان احنا نعمل براند افريقيه. مش يعني احنا لما بنيجي انا هتكلم عننا في مصر، لما بنيجي نقول ده اتحاد اوروبي، العربيه دي من اوروبا او العربيه دي من اسيا، ما بنقولش منين، بنقولش من كوريا او من المانيا، لكن احنا ده اتحاد اوروبي. احنا ما عندناش لحد النهارده علامه تجاريه نقول عليها حاجه افريقيه، ما عندناش. لازم نفكر، دي مش قدراتنا احنا كناس كبار، قدرات الشباب اللي تبتكر وتفكر وتاخد المخاطره وتستغل الموارد وتاخد الدول حقها في مواردها. لحد النهارده احنا دول افريقيه مظلومه في اسعار مواردها كلها. دوله غنيه قاره غنيه جدا ما زالت لم تحصل على حقها. منطقه التجاره الحره هتنجح لما الشباب يقدروا ياخدوا قياده، يقدروا يغيروا كل السياسات اللي بتحكمها. انا مش عايز اطول اكتر من كده، وبشكركم جدا جدا وسعيده جدا بتواجدي معاكم. بدعو كل ضيوفنا لزياره العاصمه الاداريه الجديده، مكان جديد بالنسبه لمصر، واحنا سعداء بيه جدا، فخورين بيه، وحابين ان انتم تشوفوا التجربه المصريه في هذا. شكرا.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amani El Wasal, Head of Commercial Agreements, Sector, Egypt Ministry of Trade and Industry. Kindly a warm applause one more time to Dr. Amali. As I invite the next panel to take their place, that is Ms. Jessica Noor from African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, Mr. Roland Sutton from the ILO, and Mr. Precious Defiri and Ms. Doris Malay to take their seats, and our esteemed moderator, Ms. Rain, to take us through the next session.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Just allow us to the cables very quickly. I'd rather stand just for now, and then we'll sit. So hello everyone, welcome again. Hello, a very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists. I would like to maybe introduce the panel just a little bit. During this brief, I don't know, I don't want to call it an hour, half an hour, probably less, but we will try to look into challenges, best practices, recommendation, experiences around women and youth financial inclusion, industrialization, and youth employment. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of our panel discussion, I would like to invite my panelists just to briefly introduce themselves. You know, we have a time constraint that we've been dealing with, but still, I would like to have you introduce yourself just for a background, for to maybe have a better idea on who's sitting next to you, but also for our audience, so they can know the experts that we have with us today. So, Mr. Sarden, you can start, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's good afternoon or good evening. My name is Roland Sarton. I'm working for the Decent Work team in North Africa, based in Cairo for the ILO, International Labor Organization. I'm working as an employment specialist for the region. I'm based in Cairo, and I'm very pleased to be here representing the ILO office and my director, Eric Huchelin, who couldn't be there today, but we all support the event and the organization. Thank you for your invitation.
Hello everyone, my name is Doris Marley. I am the CEO and founder of Mama Mia Soko. It's a financial inclusion platform that offers online marketplace and offline sales platform. But I'm also a president for Organization of Women International Trade, or with Tanzania chapter. I work with the National Committee representing women, the committee that implements the AfCFTA agreement in Tanzania. I also represent women and youth at the Global Standard 1, GS1 Tanzania, as a board member and chairperson of the Committee for Standardization, Traceability, and Digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Jessica Anor, and I'm the head of the Youth, Gender, and Women's Empowerment Unit at the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, called AUD and NEPAD. We are based in South Africa. I hope you know about us. If not, that's the first time you interact with us. I love what I do. I'm also part of the Women and Youth Financial and Economic Initiative from the African Union, and I'm leading the quota cluster, making sure we have gender parity, making sure we have youth quota in everything we do in politics, in financial institutions. Youth and women should be included. So that's what I'm pushing for, advocating for, and that's what I'm passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Precious Dipili. I am the founder of AWAO, Malawi. at our we make interiors and crafts. I am also the advisor to International Trade Center, and I represent ICOYACA, the council to champion AfCFTA agendas.
Let's give the mic there. Let me start with you, Precious. So in your when we first had your bio, you introduced yourself as a social entrepreneur that works specifically on sustainable products. So within, let me call it a unique or not so popular maybe field that you interact with or that you work in. What are, let's do 2 challenges and 2 potential areas that you think you can highlight and share with the panelists as well as our audience, and what do you would identify as crucial elements that can help you scale up and advance in this field? For example, we have ILO, we have Audaniped, we have the AU in the room. What would you request from these organizations within your specific sector?
Okay, thank you. I would quickly, because of time, the challenges, you mentioned of the challenges that will first, funding. So every youth in here and the women will agree with me that funding is a big issue, and especially, specifically on the sustainable, on businesses which are crafting sustainable products. We need, we need specialized funding to sustainable production, and then the market access. Also face challenges such as the regulatory barriers, the legislation. I think on the sustainable part, we do have, we're crafting new products every time, and then we need regulatory bodies to come in very fast because these are new items. On the opportunities, there's growing demand of sustainable products. We craft our products from bamboo, and bamboo is eco-friendly. There's growing demand in that area. Access to new tech is one of the opportunities that we are seeing. Value chain creation. We are crafting a whole value chain of bamboo in Malawi. The support and resources. I think access to funding, madam. And another thing is partnership and collaboration in terms of capacity building for the youth and the women, specifically the youth, because I'm one. Anyway. And then the markets and branding, access to technology, new technologies. I think those are some of the things that I can say now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's keep it within the young entrepreneurs and give the space to Ms. Doris. And my question to you will be similar to Precious. You work in entrepreneurship. You're a CEO of your own enterprise. So what kind of support that you do still request? What is its access to funding? Is it mentorship? Is it a specific requirement? And what would you advise, or what would you sort of we have young entrepreneurs, maybe, or people interested in the audience. What would you advise be as a successful entrepreneur to make it within the field, to make it here in Africa, utilizing the platforms that we have, namely the AfCFTA amongst other?
All right, thank you. I would emphasize on the cash flow. Cash flow is the bloodline of any business. And most young entrepreneurs don't understand what cash flow is. In the context of financial inclusion, which we are in a quest for financial freedom. We all want to be able to afford that product, afford education, afford our basic needs, to meet those monthly expenses, to help others, to invest in other businesses, but we require money and time. So understanding cash flow, there's Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad's cash flow quadrant. That explains the right side, we have big businesses and investors. On the left side, we have employees and self-employed or small businesses. Under the employee quadrant, it is well structured. Even banks and financial institutions understand that quadrant. They'll tell you, give us a salary slip and then we'll give you a loan. So they are financially included because it is structured, people understand it, and it's easy to fund them. Big businesses, they have standards, they have ISO standards, they qualify for big tenders. Investors, these are the people who go to golf clubs when you're waking up to go to work. They have fund managers who are managing their funds, they invest in big businesses. And then you have the small business owners, the employees. You have to understand that this quadrant commands 60%, contributes 60% of the GDP of any nation, up to 60%. And most of them, they fail within 2 years. They cannot escape from this quadrant going to big businesses. Scaling up is a problem. Now, I would like to advise that you need to understand the language of investors. There are investors who invest at an idea stage, startup stages, scaling up stages. How do you prepare yourself to be investor ready? How do you take your business from where you are to the next level? How do you prepare your books? Who do you talk to? Which organizations do you partner with? For instance, I am working in collaboration with NEPAD in Tanzania under the 100 MSMEs initiative in Africa. Who do you partner with? There are things that you'll not be able to solve by yourself. Never. You need a network. Your network is your net worth. So that is something that I would like to advise young entrepreneurs, and never giving up. Big businesses are failing. Failure is part of success. If it is too hard, do away with it. Do something else. The best thing you have is youth. That means you have time to do over and over again. But don't give up on yourself. Don't consider yourself as a failure. The entrepreneurship spirit has to be there in you. This fast food mentality you have to do away with that. You have to be dedicated, committed to your dream until you make it. So as Mama Mia Soko, the way we support youth, we give them a platform that can capture the cash flow. These statements are able to be taken to any financial institution, and they can trust them, they're auditable. And you can be able to get funds from banks. You can be able to present your business to investors who can invest into your business. You don't need to know about the financials statements and everything. You just need to use that platform and you'll be investor ready. But at the same time, we connect you to institutions like NEPAD for trainings, access to finance. We connect you to OIT, the Organization of Women in International Trade, for access to markets. We are working with ITC, the US Department of Commerce. All these are there for you. Make use of them. That's my advice.
Thank you for that. It's extremely valuable. Yes, you really do deserve an applause. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for one considering sharing the wisdom that you have now, because it's really important. I'm nowhere near an entrepreneur, but also I understood what you were trying to explain, and that's very important that we simplify it also for even organs who make policies, for banks who create these programs and give out the funds. I would like to go to Jessica, since apparently you work together with Doris, but because she mentioned it, she mentioned the entrepreneurship programs that NEPAD have, but we also know that NEPAD has a very large mandate when it comes to youth empowerment, women empowerment, development on the continent as a whole. What would your response be to Precious and Doris, and what would you maybe give us what NEPAD is doing? Share with us the initiative that you have, the programs that you have that maybe young people don't have an idea about. Sometimes you have to go and specifically look for a certain program or be an entrepreneur or aspiring one to access this information. So in a very brief, I know it's a very exhaustive presentation if you go into details, but maybe snippets so we can go and look for it and try to research around the programs that NEPAD offers.
No, thank you so much, Rim, and thanks to my brother Precious. I think you are challenging us today. And I like what you said about the funding. I mean, funding is the issue, but not exactly. The issue is that the banks consider that young people are risky. So they don't want to lend to the young people. And what we do in AUD and NEPAD as part of our Energies Africa 100 million MSME program is that we found ways to de-risk finance for entrepreneurs and for women. So we had 74 million from USDFC given to banks in Nigeria, Tanzania, Malawi, and Zambia, so that they should have a quota of that money given to young entrepreneurs and to women entrepreneurs. And NEPAD is working with them, with the banks in those countries and with USDFC, and making sure this is being done as a guarantee mechanism. So this is a way for us to solve that financial issue. But sometimes I understand you need the cash. So on top of that, we also have grant mechanism as part of the NEPAD Spanish Fund program that we are also running. It's a program mostly dedicated for women, but now we are going into a phase 2 that will be youth and women. So there will be money for young people. So we'll tell you more about it so that you can feel free to apply. But you know, I don't believe that money is all that there is. I think my sister Doris mentioned it. She said sometimes young people don't understand anything about the finance environment. They don't know what to invest. They don't know what type of loan to request from the banks. And you know, I'm also working with women in processing. I think they have a pavilion there. We are going to do some things. And last year we made sure we trained them in financial literacy because we were in Niger and I spoke to some of them and I noticed sometimes they need money for investment, but they will go and they will ask for a consumer loan. A loan that is 20% interest. So they will get the money, but next month they will be able, they will have to pay the money back and they've not made a profit yet. So we understand that they didn't know which kind of banking product to ask for. So it's about the knowledge sometimes, not only having the money, but being trained and understanding what you should do with the money. And I think Doris said something that were very profound of the spirit of an entrepreneur. I think I'm married to an entrepreneur, so I see everyday challenges every single day. So as a young entrepreneur, I think you need your network, but you need the knowledge also of the institutions that can help you, because many of them have money all over Africa ready to help you. NEPAD has some, World Bank has some, the EU has some. Sometimes we are looking for candidates. Sometimes we don't find them because our database are limited. So make sure you connect with us, make sure you engage with us, and make sure also you manage to tell us a story. Because everybody loves a good story. Everybody wants to know what you've been through and what you've managed to do today with the strengths that are yours and with the business that is yours. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Jessica. So maybe let's take the conversation a little bit towards employability with you, Mr. Saton. In your work with ILO, what are the trends or innovative approaches that you've identified or you noticed within the African context that can really boost young people employability on the continent, as well as that, of course, lead into their financial inclusion, financial independency?
Right. So thank you for the question. I think first the situation. Well, we see that first of all, and I brought some numbers that can always serve in general. I mean, we see that a large share of the young people, unfortunately, still are working in extreme working poverty in Africa, 38%. So yes, young people actually work in Africa, and if you look at the unemployment rates in Africa, particularly the rates you would see are low, but it's more the nature and the quality of the work that we see is not productive enough and does not provide decent work conditions. Working in the informal sector with low social protection, with low wages. So what we try to call and to support governments and countries is really to work towards really transforming the economy and trying to identify the sectors that can generate more value and more productive work. Of course, entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs have a key role to play. And we work with the communities, with the government to support entrepreneurship trainings. We have a flagship program called Start and Improve Your Business, SIYB. We also support women in their enterprises with a so-called Get Ahead program, where we include financial inclusion program to explain how to manage the finances. And since you asked about an innovative example, I brought one example that I found quite interesting as part of our Pro Agro project, working in the rural area. So it's about increasing decent and self-wage employment for rural youth through integrated agribusiness hubs. So we actually support agribusiness hubs that actually provide young people an integrated range of services. So technical and vocational training, coaching, business development services, and also job placements to identify opportunities at the same place in the rural areas. And we do that in Malawi, in Algeria, in different countries, to pilot the scheme and see how we can scale it up.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sato. Yes, please. I hope we were taking notes of the initiatives that you mentioned as the same as the ones that Jessica mentioned. And I'm sure that throughout the week, with a different pavilion, different booths, we're still going to learn more and interact more. And this is actually an opportunity for all of us to know what's happening on the continent and just to learn from each other. The same goes for the participants online. I don't want to forget them. But I don't want to summarize because I really believe that this is an opening for what's happening in the upcoming week. And maybe by the end of it, I think, or even individual interactions can really help us understand or summarize what we learned and what we want to take forward or with us from the Trade Fair. But I do again want to give another opportunity for our young entrepreneurs, especially Precious and Doris, and excuse me, Jessica and Sultan for that. But I want to leave the closing words with you. I want you very briefly just to, what is your message to other young entrepreneurs for whether it's organizations, international organizations, stakeholders that you interact with in your field, but also what's your message to your fellow entrepreneurs and fellow job-seeking young people? You can go ahead, Precious, and then we'll move to Doris. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. My message to young people is, it has been said here, we should be able to follow through what is happening to get the right information. For instance, with this training that was happening today, the ITC Masterclass, I attended that online and in Cape Town. And when I went home in Malawi, I managed to get an export license, and we're going to be soon exporting. So I think this is the kind of capacity building that we're talking about. AUDA, NEPAD here, ITC, UNECA, I mean, they're doing a wonderful job, and we should be able to follow these things in order to get the right information for export and even growing our capacities. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I would like to advise the young entrepreneurs to be so good at what they do. Develop yourself, build your brand. You as a person, you have to be a product, and then build your business. Be so good at what you do. Learn, relearn, and learn. Keep moving. That is one. Two, share opportunities with others. The more you succeed, the more you go higher. That's all. Don't keep things to yourself. You hear something, share with others. You don't know. These guys will be somewhere. They'll be mentioning your name in rooms that you'll never be. Be good to each other and be kind. Thank you.
Thank you. What a better way, I think, to close our session. For our two other panelists, I think your closing remarks would be the action that you take forward from here. We heard what are the challenges, we heard what the young people want, and let's work on that. And maybe when we meet again, in the next rate where we can say that we really listened and we really worked on that. So thank you all for your attention. Unfortunately, we won't have Q&A. Apologies again for the virtual participants, but allow me to pass to the moderator for our next panel, Ms. Anneli Simon.
Thank you so much, everyone, for those really insightful and impactful words. Also, just to the youth, it's no shame for us not knowing all of the financial details that we need to know for business, but there are networks out there to help you. With that said, we are running swiftly out of time. I'm going to introduce the next panel, and it is titled Africa Youth and Trade Exchange. It's on market connectivity and digital solutions. We will have the privilege of hearing from a distinguished group of experts, and this will be moderated by Ms. Yumna Sharif and Ms. Noha Ashraf Abdel Baki. Please come on. Thank you.
فين المايك بتاعي؟ Is this who?
Come. Yeah.
Hello.
I think they were rushing.
Good evening and welcome to Cairo. So my name is Noha Abdebaki and I'm a cloud engineer. I'm an ITU Generation Connect Youth Envoy and an enthusiast of the intersection between digital transformation and socioeconomic development. So I'd like to welcome the audience who's joining us today on site, as well as the online audience who's joining remotely via Zoom. As part of the AfCFTA Youth Day event, and given the importance of youth empowerment in our digital era and its reflection on implementing an intra-African trade, I'll be coordinating this session with my colleague Yumna on Africa Youth and Trade Exchange, market connectivity, and digital solutions. Over to you, Yumna.
Thank you, Noha. Hi, my name is Yumna Sharif. I'm a data scientist at IBM and Egypt's representative for the ITU with Noha. Okay, so before we start, let's have a quick round of introduction for our team. So Ahmed, can you start?
Good evening. My name is Ahmed Fathi, and I represent the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance and country coordinator. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Oswald Wedam Anonadaga from Ghana. I am the founder and CEO of Floodgates Limited, and we provide digital identity verification and authentication services to users in about 15 countries across the world.
My name is Mula Alamsiyum. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the African E-Trade Group.
Hello, this is Mustafa Abdullah, and I'm here on behalf of Wavemakers United. I'm representing as a chief person of Wavemakers United in Egypt. We are working on water technologies and innovations and other things like food and energy innovations in market and trade. So thank you.
Good evening, this is Dina Al-Dalil. I'm the International Cooperation Director in AfCFTA. AfCFTA is a presidential initiative that was launched by His Excellency Mr. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in October 2022 in order to develop the industrial sector in Egypt.
Thank you, Dr. Dina. Thank you, everyone, for your introductions. So we'll start ladies first. Dr. Dina, I understand that you work with technical schools. So how do you make sure that the youth in these technical schools are ready for the digital landscape? Okay.
Let me give you a brief about IBDA first. IBDA, what we target is to develop and act as an accelerator and a facilitator for the industrial sector in Egypt. And of course, we deploy a lot of support for the youth as one of the main driving forces for industrialization and for the economic growth. So what we do is we work with several entities, Egyptian and international entities, in order to develop the technical schools in Egypt. We actually lead a national project for the development of technical education. And what we target is we target to have internationally accredited technical schools for the youth, and of course, fostering their digital skills. We already inaugurated 2 schools. One of them works in the field of the artificial intelligence. It encompasses both AI for data analysis. It also encompasses AI for industry sector, for the industrial sector, and for several controlling systems. Of course, the schools are equipped with labs for programming and for AI. It's located near the new capital, which is a smart city. And on top of that, we are working on developing a digital platform to manage and digitize the day-to-day operations for these technical schools. So this platform briefly works on 4 main pillars, with an ERP system, which coordinates the day-to-day operations, as said. We also have the content management system, which is more concerned with the academic content. We have the training learning system, and we have a system for interactive learning for the students, where we have all the curriculum and all the learning materials, and finally an online employment platform.
That's amazing. Round of applause, please. Thank you, Dr. Dina. Now moving on to Mr. Mulu Alam. Can you pass on the mic? Thank you. So Mr. Mulu Alam, I understand with your fund that you're working with access to digital finance. How do you do that given the African region?
Thank you very much. Well, the affordable digital finance was a summit decision under financial and digital inclusion that was made by the African Union last year in February. And to implement that, we launched this year in July, the African Strategic Investment Alliance. What the African Strategic Investment Alliance do is the fund of fund for, on the previous panel, what we have been discussing about finance, access to finance, in another venue this morning about the challenge of affordable finance to small businesses. To address that, today in Africa, there is about a huge gap of $330 billion every single year as a gap for small businesses. And there is no one alone can be able to meet that criteria unless that we are bringing alliances. Alliances not just only at the global level, but primarily within the continent itself. In the continent, it is very ironic that we are investing about $1.8 trillion outside the continent, from the continent. Yet every government in Africa is looking also for a loan outside the continent. So the domestic resource mobilization has been identified, the research has been identified, and to work on this, the fund of fund, the Strategic Investment Alliance is primarily be member state, the member of this Strategic Investment Alliance, and particularly pension fund itself can be invested for affordable finance for small business, youth, and women. And that is one of the areas that we have launched in partnership with the African Union.
Amazing, thank you. Round of applause, please. So now that we've had the digital skills enabled within the youth, and then now we're able to also give them access, how can we use this, Mustafa? How can we use digital solutions now to be leveraged for water resource management and inter-African trade?
Okay, that's a very important question because Africa has let's talk first about Egypt. We have a serious problem with water and we need to make sure that we have this knowledge throughout across the entire continent to share knowledge, data sharing, and cooperation in research as well to make sure that we can benefit from other countries' researchers in the field of water. let me share something with you. In Wave Makers United, we have it's an accredited program called UN accredited program called UN Wave Maker UN Game Changer Challenge. It's a UN accredited program. It's a global program, so we need to make sure that we have digital solutions or digital tools and platforms that we can use to make sure that every single young mind is included in this innovator and revolutionary program where every single youth working in the water field can get engaged and participate with their innovative solutions. So we have to use and make sure that we have updated digital resources and platforms to make it accessible to all youth in Africa and on global level. So we can use platforms like we have already in Wave Makers United, our online academy. It's like created by Wave Makers United Foundation. You can access it, so you can learn more about water management, water treatment, water solutions, and we have a marketplace where we can trade. I don't prefer to use word trade in innovation and technology, to be honest, but we are sort of trading the innovative ideas. So you can access that marketplace on wavemakersunited.com. You can find a list of innovations from everywhere in the world, people from Netherlands, people from Africa, from Europe, Asia, whatever it is, wherever it is, sorry, have participated in our UN accredited program and have put their innovations on that marketplace. So if you are a businessman or someone interested in water technologies, you can go to this marketplace and adapt one of these products. So that's how we can use the digital resources, not only to make sure that we can like include these innovations ideas, but as well to make sure that we can market for these ideas and be adopted by businessmen and companies and countries as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. We're very lucky to have this diverse panel of SMEs. So my question now is to Mr. Ahmed Fathi. What do you think, based on your experience with YLE, what is the impact of climate change on youth empowerment and having an intra-African trade, and how we can overcome this?
Okay, thank you for the question. Thank you for the panelists for the great presentations that I heard. But I'd like to start with a question. Do you know what is the number of the next COP? COP number what?
28.
Okay, just make sure everyone is woke up, no one is sleeping. Okay, so I will try to talk very shortly about the impact of youth because of climate change in Africa. As we can see, many of heat came every year, and this heat is impact of agriculture, and this agriculture impact is the people which are working in the industry of agriculture. So it is impact the industry, and impact the trade, and impact the farmers which are working in this area. So this is first. Second, to build a new jobs, when I will take from my friend here, when he is talking about everywhere we are going to require a loans from the rich countries to support us. And when they came to us with these loans, they come to us also with technology. And we are the most impacted continent because of climate change. And when we go to require for anything, we get a loan. It is not a grant. So we buy the technology. And when we buy this technology, this rich countries send experts with this technology to improve it to our countries. So we take a loan from our hand to give it to the other hand. Okay, this has happened many times. What is the impact of what came to use because of climate change? It is hard more than I'm talking about the industry. I think in the next few years we will hear about climate migration. And we will have people move from country to country or from area to area because of the climate impact. Do we have a mobility to move with that? Does our trade are ready to have something like this? Are we moving to that? For sure, when we are going to the COP and COP in a few days in Dubai, And as an African negotiation group, they are making negotiation about the trade in Africa, about support the local industry. And I think in the past few weeks, many of people in Egypt start to buy products made in Egypt. I think if we support to buy and to use what we have in Africa, what we have from our resources, it will be very, very good for our trade. If we, one of this conference, like our conference today, is came with implementation of the agreement which many countries have signed together before for a free trade or for moving for the agriculture or for the industry of transportation, I think we will have a good future, and the climate change will impact us also. But in that time, we will be more strong to act against climate action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. And I'm personally pro localization and Africanization, so I hope we see a more advanced and stronger market soon. So due to the limited time, we have our last question to Mr. Oswald. How can the digital solutions designed by Africans and tailored for Africans help with creating one African market and advancing the AU 2063 agenda?
Okay, thank you very much. I would want to say that in order to achieve the full benefit of the potential of the AfCFTA, we would need to look very strongly at digital systems, because digital solutions are what provide the capacity for communication between people in different countries, for tracking logistics that are moving. Payments, digital payments are very important leg to all of this. And so at the moment, there are very great initiatives that are being done at the continental level, like the PAP system that allows for that will allow for money transfer between different organizations without converting to an external reserve currency and other solutions. But then digital solutions must come into the fold to allow for the SMEs to also be able to participate in this trade, because a lot of the trade in terms of quantity, not volume, are done by SMEs. And so one thing that we need to look at is democratizing the access to digital solutions. And let me just give an example to develop a solution that you can deploy to the internet, host on the internet, and then allow for people to access, people to shop from you, receive payment from them. This should cost you nothing less than $50,000 to about $200,000, and including the team that builds and manages it. Is this a cost that SMEs in Africa will be able to assume for each and every organization? It can be challenging. So we must look at democratizing access to these solutions. That means that priority must be given to solutions that are scalable, like e-commerce platforms, market platforms, digital payment platforms that people can access on their phones easily, that they won't need large devices or large servers to be able to manage, amongst other things. Using these solutions, we have to prioritize funding and then deploying such solutions across the continent. And I know that a number of them have already come up. And these solutions are going to help to create the entire one African market. And because I work in the area of digital identity, let me talk about why that is very important to creating a common market. When people come to trade, there is a prerequisite of trust. So if you don't trust whoever you are dealing with, you would not want to trade with a person. And in Africa, we have a very large volume of fraud. And when you consider the statistics, you can see that in the past 3 years, the statistics report that identity fraud has increased by over 300%. And now we are creating a common market and bringing all the countries together to trade. And we don't have a common identity verification system. One thing that we don't talk about as well is this kind of system, which will allow for us to bring together everyone, so that if you are from South Africa and you are interacting with somebody from Nigeria, somebody from Ghana, someone in Kenya is trading with someone from Sierra Leone, they can be able to trust each other because their businesses are verified, because their identity is verified. And this is going to help to actually scale. So this is another kind of solution that will help us to create the common market and then grow and achieve the aims of the AfCFTA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As Oswald, I guess we can keep this conversation going on and on and on, but due to our limited time, we have to close this amazing panel. Thank you for our distinguished panelists for your time and for being present, and thank you for the audience for attending the second AfCFTA Youth Day event. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great week in Cairo. Thank you.
The Ye community, in one word, feels like home to me. It's that one-stop center where I access resources, mentors. It's a global community of over 30,000 members across the globe. And the ability to connect, engage, but also learn from one another is something that is priceless to me.
The Ye community has made Africa is a vast continent. But because of that, I'm able to connect with more than 100 or 1,000 youths on one little platform. So it's
when I was coming, I had it in mind to connect, innovate, and grow. So as I'm going here, I'm keeping in touch with the connections I made. I'm making sure we are going to innovate and grow the community at large.